Hello Mallards, it is Wednesday and the first show that I saw today was called The Curve, and the piece of art I have chosen to be the background is called Astral by Adrienne H. It's got this beautiful almost feather feel but also a bit of a rocket ship feel. I like the light colors and I picked it because the show The Curve is about acrobats and it's got this kind of circus vibe. And it's been tough for me to find a circus piece, but I like the hope in this piece and I like the lightness of it, and I feel like that matches up with the show I just saw. So The Curve is a one-woman show by Jeannie. I don't know if her name is Carter or Cartier, but it is all about her becoming an acrobat. And it was a very enjoyable piece. It's her talking about her early start and about the curve in her back and what that has meant for her as a performer and how it has changed how she does performance, how she creates art, and how she deals with being an acrobat with all of the physical things that are involved in being an acrobat. And there's also acrobatic moments in the show and a really interesting story about Scientology. So I would definitely recommend this show because she's showing the second weekend. She only has 4 performances and it's a cute, sweet piece. And if you like acrobatic performance, if you like one-woman shows, or if you struggle with the limitations of your body, I think you will find this a nice and uplifting piece. She also says poetry, and I bought a book of poetry for Megan. So link down there to tickets and information on the artist. The next show I had a chance to see is a one-on-one site-specific show called Love In, and the piece of art I've chosen is Can It Finally Be Me by Shirley May Ross. It is an anatomical heart made of all of these pretty dots. And I chose this instead of one of the myriad of other regular hearts because I liked it being an anatomical heart, because although this is a show about love and love letters, as an aromantic, I think a lot more about this kind of heart than that kind of heart. And it was an absolutely wonderful experience. It is a one-on-one experience out in the courtyard. The performer, Amanda Grace, has set up this intimate space, despite the fact that it's just in the open courtyard, where you can sit on the ground across from her, and she asks you some questions about your life and about love and about what care means to you. And I think probably the conversation drives in very different directions depending on who you are. Because I am an artist, we talked a lot about creation and art and theater, and I think that other people would talk about very different things, but the entire environment is just so warm and welcoming, and she is such a lovely presence, and I had a beautiful time. I didn't even notice that it was hot because I was just having such a lovely time having a conversation with a new friend. And now she wrote a letter during our experience, which I have not read yet. I'm saving it for this evening, but you do get to get home with a letter. And if you choose, you can leave your mailing address, and the person who sees the show after you might write you a letter. And so I left my mailing address for somebody else to write me a letter. And because I was the first person to see the show at this run, I will get a mailing address from the last person to see the show at this run and get to write them a letter. So if you want to join the chain of letter writing, get your tickets to Love In, and absolutely get your tickets, because as I mentioned, this is a one-on-one experience and those are a rarity at Fringe. And so if the time slot is sold, that's all there is to it. But the show runs today through Sunday, and it will definitely leave you feeling more positive than when you sat down. So check out a link to tickets down there and to the art. The next show that I went to see was Hyde by Push Physical Theater, and the piece of art I've chosen is Florida Through the Eyes of the Governor by Carrie Allen. Is this piece right here that has turned the state into a gun. Yeah. It's not a particularly positive piece of art, and it's not a particularly positive piece of theater, so I think that the two of them go well together. So the description of Push is that it is Jekyll and Hyde told through their physical mime style. And it is that, a little bit, essentially a show led by the Hyde character. But it varies widely in what it tells. So there is some out-of-universe conversations happening. There is the in-universe Jekyll and Hyde story that you're kind of used to. And there's also a little bit of in-universe gun violence related stuff. And I'm saying that out loud because I know that's triggering for some people, so you should know that going in, that is a part of the show. But it is gorgeously done. It is also very funny, like makes you laugh a lot before it punches you in the gut. And I was very impressed with the show overall. And the way that Push Physical Theater moves, I mean, they look like they're floating, doing these ridiculously hard lifts and all sorts of crazy things. And every single time I think, wow, they just look like they're weightless. And I know what they're doing is heavy lifting people. And so it's beautiful to watch. I love the physicality. There's also some audience interaction bits in this that are peak. Our audience member particularly was very, very good. I can't guarantee that that will be the case when you go see the show. But I had a very enjoyable time. You just gotta be ready for a little bit of heavy theater. And so a link down there to the tickets. And maybe stuff about the artist, although she doesn't have a link on her sheet, so we'll see if we find her. I went to what will be not quite my last show of the night, because I'm going to go to the Midnight Cabaret, which I will talk about afterwards, but the last show that I'm going to talk about with art in front of it. And that was Chris Turner's Childish. And the piece of art I've chosen is Bumpy Flower, which is by Britt. I just like the colors in this. I like the metallic reflecting. I really like the flowers, and I think that it has a childlike energy and sort of speaks to dreams. This show in particular, it is a comedy show with comedic songs and raps and a little bit of stand-up, and it is Chris talking about what it's like to be a child and inviting you to leave your worries, your dread, and your cares at the door and just be childish for 75 minutes and pursue the dreams that you maybe had as a child. And before you go into the show, he asks you to fill out a form where you put your name and you put what you wanted to be when you were young. Like, what did you want to be when you grew up, when you were a child? And kind of talk about what did you end up being when you grew up and how has that changed? And talking about what dreams kids had when they were young. And it's a really funny show. I laughed a lot. He has very, very funny songs. And it also has a nice, sweet message because he is a father and he talks also a lot about his dad. And there's a little video from his dad in it, which is really cute. And part of the show is to go and encourage somebody that you know, to let them know that they are good at what they do and they should pursue their dreams. And that was already very uplifting. And it was also fun because the four of us who were in that show also immediately turned to each other and we were all like, we should go tell Yaneli that she's good at things and we should encourage her. So that's what we did. So you should let somebody you know that they're good at something and encourage them to pursue their dreams. Link down there to tickets and to the art. And I'll be back in a little bit to talk about Flashlight Cabaret. The Flashlight Cabaret was a delight, as it always is. And again, it was the perfect encapsulation of ephemeral theater. Something that you only see if you're there for that evening and never again. But I enjoyed it. And that's why I would encourage you, if you come to Orlando Fringe, to check out the Flashlight Cabaret, because it's an experience that you won't have anywhere else. And now I'm going to drive home and then I will edit and post this video. Reminder, link down there to tickets to shows and information about artists, and I'll see you tomorrow.